Mike Sierra 1 can't handle the truth.
You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this?
I am authorized to assure you these rumors are based on hysteria and are absolutely false. I repeat, these rumors are absolutely false.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me once again as I take another look into the relentless lies of Mike Zero. Today I'm going to take a look at something that Zero has come out with in the past week or so that once again highlights his need to produce news in whatever way he feels will glean the most views. And even this story is a stretch, even by Zero's low standards. But to do so I must start at the beginning, because as you will hear later, it all has to do with Tom Cruise and how he has apparently pissed off Lucas and Disney to the point where they're going to restructure their movie formats. The Mission Impossible film franchise first hit the screens back in 1996. There then followed films in 2000, 2006 and 2011. Also in that time frame we had Episode 1 The Phantom Menace in 1999, Episode 2 Attack of the Clones released in 2002, and just before Mission Impossible 3 in 2006, we finally had Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith from 2005. In between Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, 2011, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which came out in 2015, Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, something we are all familiar with I'm sure. With Rogue Nation out in cinemas in July of 2015, The Rise of Skywalker followed later down the line in December of the same year. So it would seem that we had two studios releasing films without worrying about what the other studios were doing at any given time, but not anymore. Because after what seems to have been a peaceful coexistence, Lucas and Disney now want to steal Cruise's thunder in the not too distant future with their own take on Tom's film catalog.
One major development behind closed doors is that Disney has been growing worried over Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible movies being a smashing success, as well as Cruise's upcoming space movie. Iger reportedly views Cruise as a big competitor against Disney and box office turnouts for films that recently the board and Iger have been having some meetings on creating a competition piece against Mr. Cruise to create both their own spy film series, similar to that of Mission Impossible, as well as finding a way to greenlight and actually revive Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie Rogue Squadron to get gutted and redeveloped by a different creator to take on Cruise's Top Gun, now in Mission Impossible movies as well. Now get this, Bob Iger is described to be nearing a green light for an upcoming Disney spy film series that will be big budget stunt-worthy movies that will have budgets similar to that of Pirates of the Caribbean to take on Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible films after learning that Cruise won't be done after MI8 and that spin-offs and sequels will continue without Ethan Hunt, but will however be advised and supervised by Tom Cruise himself.
It's taken 11 years for Disney and Lucasfilm to be worried about what Tom Cruise has been doing with his Mission franchise. Not only that, but they now have a bee in their bonnet about the Top Gun movies too. This has never been an issue and never been reported on through any outlet over all this time. As for the Tom Cruise space movie, that was discussed way back in 2020 during the pandemic, and according to GQ magazine in an article from 2022, it's going to happen. Part of the article states the following. According to the BBC, chairman of Universal Filmed Entertainment Group, Donna Langley, says Cruise and director Doug Liman pitched her the idea over a video call during the pandemic. In classic Cruise action fashion, it's about a man who needs to go up to space to save the day. Yet, while we were all doing our 186th consecutive Zoom quiz, Tom Cruise was apparently trying to get a ticket on a rocket ship. But it worked, as Langley says. We have a great project in development with Tom that does contemplate him doing just that. Taking a rocket up to the space station and shooting, and hopefully being the first civilian to do a spacewalk outside of the space station, all this being a collab with Elon and SpaceX. But it gets even better, because not only do we have Iger battling Cruise from out of nowhere, it would seem that Rogue Squadron was always going to compete against the Top Gun movies, but only now, because Zero needs confrontation, as well as making Disney and Lucasfilm look even more incompetent than they are, because that's what keeps his fans happy.
However, one major development surprisingly involves herself and actor Tom Cruise. Now, behind the scenes, Kathy Kennedy is reportedly growing very furious with actor Tom Cruise for his Mission Impossible film, prepared to stomp Indy 5's box office return rates. Kennedy is said to be anticipating what could be the worst box office turnout in her Lucasfilm career because of Tom Cruise halting it completely come July 11th. Kennedy is noted to be so bothered by Cruise's Mission Impossible film impacting Indy 5 to the point that she actually wants to create her own competition that was already pitched by Bob Iger of creating the Star Wars equivalent of Top Gun Maverick. Surprisingly, this was Kennedy's intentions all along, even when she greenlit the project years ago, which was to compete against Tom Cruise and the concept of aircraft movies being applied to Star Wars with Starfighters of Rogue Squadron, the Star Wars movie.
I have never heard such utter rubbish in all my life. Rogue Squadron was never labeled as an upfront piece of movie competition against the Top Gun franchise. Patty Jenkins' father, William T. Jenkins, was a US Air Force officer and fighter pilot who earned a Silver Star. It was pitched in interviews with Patty that she would like to base a movie around the life of a fighter pilot, like her dad, but keeping it within the Star Wars universe. Again, it was never sold as a direct competitor to Top Gun, but according to Zero in a real brain fart moment, it apparently is. So much so it's going to be resurrected with a different director. But it doesn't end there, because we need to finish this triad of deception with what Phoebe Waller-Bridge has to say about all of this as well.
She recently has been having similar issues, much like both Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger have been, of course, with Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible 7. One big development is that behind the scenes, Waller-Bridge has been very angry with Tom Cruise for a very specific reason and how his Mission Impossible film is going to obliterate the box office for Indy 5, but that's not the only reason. Phoebe was counting on Indy 5 to be her best project in years, and really wanted it to be a great launch pad for her Tomb Raider series, and that this is why the subject is bothering her so much over why Disney and Lucasfilm chose a slot that was so close to Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible 7. It has reportedly bothered Phoebe Waller-Bridge behind the scenes, so much to the point that she has been reaching out to Kathleen Kennedy to convince some of the Disney board members to actually put Waller-Bridge in Disney's planned spy film series that is intended to compete against Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible films, since Cruise recently stated that his MI movies will keep on going.
Studios have always had this situation whereby some films will clash at the box office, but to suddenly decide that you need to go with a new approach to combat any future clashes by making the same sort of films as a competitor has got to be without doubt the stupidest thing Zero has ever come out with. It has nothing to do with release dates. Mike Zero is setting you all up so he can push forward with stories about films that are going to be made to go against the Mission franchise and Top Gun. If it was a problem in the eyes of Lucas and Disney, why wait 11 years? Why not do something back in '96 or at best 2005 when Iger was in charge the first time round? This is all a setup for more videos about Tom Cruise, Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge and a situation that just doesn't exist. I know that they're going to get their asses kicked, but that's only because the Mission films are full-on entertainment, made with passion by someone who wants you to have a great time at the cinema. It's why the films have done so well. And to think Zero is going to drag Cruise through the mud now is sickening, using him like he does with everyone else, to keep himself current and relevant, whilst all the while lying through his teeth. Well, that's all I have for today. I'm going to be watching to see how this all pans out. He might prove me wrong, but I very much doubt it. Until the next time, take care and I'll see you again soon.